Rates of homicide has decreased, and so has rates of crime. Drug use rate still remains similar. So why is incarceration rate so high? Well, let me tell you why. Mass incarceration is just mass elimination. Incarceration is now part of our social institution. Putting people in prison is just a way to remove them. Remove them from our community, land, and life. Mass incarceration is used to warehouse, to keep those without a job away from their house. Mass incarceration is on the rise because of profit. Making money from the food, phones, bonds is all part of it. Remember that slavery ended with the 13th Amendment. Would you be surprised that incarceration didn't actually end it? I will tell you why mass incarceration isn't history. It is actually in all our past, present, and future story. Native Americans have long been on this land of the West, but the Manifest Destiny proclaimed that this wasn't their destiny. The Spanish and Native Americans were not mean originally. Trading and assistance were exchanged between until the Californios took their land and turned them into their workforce. This was the start of Native elimination and the genocide course. The great amount of public order charges started here, but incarceration on vagrancy does not end anytime near. Settler colonialism was their idea, to seek and take the land of the native, to build a place exclusive where only the best whites rear. Now actually settler colonialism is the idea behind all the captives. As compromise of the conquested land, the Dawes Act implemented the reservation system. The issue of small plots was supposed to give them a helping hand, but Perez says many tribes like his aren't even in this system. What is the identity of a hobo and a tramp, targeted and threatened by city authorities, when social, cultural, and political visions oppress small people's intentions? Unemployment led to discrimination in a national market and corporate capitalism. Despite the race that was seen as divine, white itinerancy became a crime. So you're not a heteropatriarchal nuclear family, you're a threat, and that led to incarceration. However, the promotion of the LA Paradise came with a poor working class of low rates of wages and work. If we ask who is to be thanked for making LA, it is the same tramps that were thought to be a menace to this society. The incarcerated were put on chain gangs, supported by the 13th Amendment. They were free laborers who built the infrastructure of Los Angeles. All of this to blockade white male itinerants from returning. The anti-Chinese sentiment in the West was strong, but even through violence, banning, and inability to testify, the Chinese protested, saying they were here to stay for long. They persisted until the Chinese Exclusion Act ratified. Chinese immigrants were unwanted here. The Geary Act made Chinese register with the government, or else they were deported after imprisonment of 1 year. They were unlawfully residing, and forced removal was their punishment. The Chinese Six Companies formed a civil disobedience campaign in order to fight for Chinese rights once again. Who knew the decisions of Chinese immigration was precedent for all future immigration? In the Fong Yue-ting decision, Congress held the absolute power of deportation, so now the Bill of Rights no longer have application. In Wang Wing decision, imprisonment was unlawful, but isn't building a detention center just as awful?
Diaz said he would bring peace, but only under his order and progress, rewriting the regeneration against Diaz, making an impact in the revolution even in the prison, crossing borders for the better lives, providing cheap labors for white businesses, forming their own community of Mex America. Birds of Passage became the second largest community in LA. Now, the natives see Mexicans as a threat to their kingdom. They passed laws to outlaw the ways of lives of Mexicans, arrested Mexicans on public order charges, and established national quotas. A notorious law called 1929 Police Law desired to make a perfect white settler paradise. Rapid increase of Mexican incarceration, still trying to close the border by ending DACA.
America, the land of freedom, faking to conceal the title of White Kingdom, ready to face the reality. in midst of the police brutality. Central Avenue and Samuel Faulkner. African Americans were abused by the police officers, not given a chance to protect their rights, arrested and killed in the streets of Black LA. Menace to society, that's how they label us. Enemies of their fantasy, that's how they consider us. Roaring 20s, the story only for the whites. Incarcerated in cold cell, that's where we find our rights. In the present, crime rate proliferation, an aftermath of the cyclical discrimination. Never-ending abuses don't shatter. Black lives still matter. Black history is American history. Don't forget, it's everyone's responsibility. It's not their story, it's our history. Racism is a lingering specter of immortality. History is not a synonym for the past. History is alive. History is dynamic. History is the past, the present, and the future. A society of enforced forgetfulness. A society of harmfulness. A society of cognitive paralysis. A society dangling on media synopsis. Why do we live in the world where construction comes before destruction? Media always have resolution. Money measures success.
The history of mass incarceration in LA is still present. Elimination through imprisonment is on the rise. Something needs to change in which this problem lies. Still today, Pasquarella said local law enforcement and ICE are working to capture by color. How about they get together to protect us from the real horror? Like the work of Burton, let's get together to build a better future, to help those once incarcerated out of what it feels like just an endless cycle. So this is our call to action to all of you with online access. There needs to be reform in this community to relinquish this idea of the settler society.